All right, Sarah, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with Himmat. See Mr. Duckett in there. Okay, then. What about Taylor? We can move that. Well, no, let's move the next interpretation case, Zhang. Okay. Taylor. Let's move down the list. I saw Mr. Lazarine in there. He's got 2 cases. Let's try those. Oh, Souza. What about a second case? Pederon. Bring in Mr. Lazarine real quick. Luna's next. So start looking. Mr. Lazarine.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. Neither of your defendants are present in the Zoom waiting room. So if you would please give them a phone call and see if you cannot get them to appear before we're done with docket.
Specifically told them both before 2:30. It's frustrating. Thanks for letting me know, though. I'll do that.
Very good. Do we have everybody here for Luna? Moving down the list, Pelsor. All right, Mr. Melcher. We're on the record in 24 CCR 237845, State of Texas versus Miranda Pelsor. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
No, I'm talking to Mr. Melcher.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Melcher, we're going to come back to you. Let's pull them out, put them back in the waiting room. We'll move on to the next case. About Christina Medina. Just stay on page 1. Ms. Medina, if you turn your video on, please. Ms. Medina? And we've lost Ms. Medina. Mr. Holton. Oh,
Yes,
wait,
Judge.
back.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, she's back on. All right, we're on the record in 24 CCR 237739, State of Texas versus Christina L. Medina. We're here on a motion to modify bond conditions. Mr. Holton, you may proceed with your argument. I've read your motion, but go ahead and give me your argument, and then I'll turn this over to the state as well.
And Judge, so I'm following the court's procedure, would you like me to give my legal argument, or would you discuss Ms. Medina from the knowledge I have, or do it in question and answer form?
You can just give me your legal argument.
Okay. Judge, we're requesting a motion to allow her to leave Fort Bend and the contiguous counties, as was a condition of her bond that she signed January 21st, 2024. Since that time, that she has been in compliance with every bond condition. She has appeared at every court setting and will continue to appear at every court setting. She has her in-laws that live in Portland, that are her husband's family, that he hasn't seen in 2 years. And then she has a dear friend who is turning 40 and has an event in Jamaica. As the court is well aware, bail conditions and decisions are dictated by Article 17028 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. And it says, in setting those conditions, that a magistrate shall impose the least restrictive conditions, if any, and the personal bond or cash or surety bond necessary to reasonably ensure defendant's appearance in court as required, and the safety of the community, law enforcement, and the victim of the alleged offense. Those conditions, the court shall look at the rules in Article 1715 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, and going through those conditions or those rules, it says that bail or any condition shall be sufficient to reasonably ensure the undertaking is
Mr.
complied.
Holton, Mr. Holton,
Yes.
1 second. My court reporter had a difficult time getting your last part of your argument, so maybe go back about 2 sentences.
So we talked about 17028 for the bail decision, least restrictive conditions. And that section in 17028, section D2, that the judge may not adopt or enter a standing order related to bail that is inconsistent with this article And two, authorize the magistrate to make a bail decision for a defendant without considering each of the factors in Court 17.15 Code of Criminal Procedure. Those conditions are setting a bail that it reasonably ensures that the undertaking is complied with, that is not an instrument of oppression, taking into consideration the nature of the offense. This is a misdemeanor DWI. Take in consideration whether there was a violent offense. This is not a violent offense. The ability for the to make bail. She has posted a $500 cash bond. Future safety of the victim or alleged offense or law enforcement or the community. There's no evidence of posed any risk to law enforcement or the community, and that there is no victim in this case. The court also is consider criminal history. She has no criminal history. It says that it should consider whether there's any acts of family violence, if there's other pending criminal charges, or instances of failure to appear. She has none. And 17.157 says if she's to look at citizenship status, she's a U.S. citizen. Courts have also stated that what the court is to review when determining bail and the conditions are the nature of the offense, length of the potential sentence. There's a DWI, potential sentence up to a year in jail. The two, defendants' ties to the community and family ties. Ms. Medina owns a home here that she resides in with her husband and her 12-year-old daughter. She has lived in Fort Bend her entire life, but for 3 years when she lived in San Antonio in 2010 to 2013. She has a child in school, 12-year-old who's in school here. Her family, her father and her mother, have lived here their entire lives in Fort Bend County. Defendant is employed in Fort Bend County at Lamar CISD in child nutrition. Defendant has no criminal history. 6, the existence of any examples of non-compliance with bonds. She has no examples of non-compliance. And so looking at these factors, I do not believe that she is a flight risk or a danger to the community. And so that we would ask that in accordance with the Code of Criminal Procedure, that she be allowed to travel on the dates requested, and is more than willing to test before and after each of those departure and arrival dates.
All right, thank you, Mr. Holden. State.
Yes, Judge. State is more concerned with the length of the travel, seeing as how the first trip is 6 days long, and then I don't even think she's there a full week, and then it's another 6 days worth of travel, and the second travel would be out of the country, Judge. So therefore, we would defer to the court as to how they want to rule on this specific hearing.
May I respond? I would simply ask or what is that concern related to? Was that concern related to whether or not they believe that she will be back for her court date and her trial date? Or whether she believes whether the length of those dates somehow cause concern that she would be a risk to the safety of the community or law enforcement? Because but for those factors, I don't see what the state is bringing up as the length as a concern.
Well, here's what I'm going to say, Mr. Holden. I have pretty much a standing requirement in this court that I will allow travel to visit family, especially in this situation when you haven't seen them for years, but I limit it to 3 days only. So that limitation or that request that you have made for December 30th to January 4th will have to be modified to fit into the confines of the state's requirement of 3 days. I will not allow her to travel on the January 8th through the 14th to Jamaica. That's going to be denied. I'm going to lift the provision that she remain within the Fort Bend County or the contiguous counties of Fort Bend County. To me, she can travel throughout the state, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify that where the defendant is now to remain in the state of Texas unless written permission is obtained from the court. If she's got to travel somewhere in the state of Texas for work, I don't want her to have to come to court each and every time, but if she's going to travel outside the state, then she will get permission from the court. So I'm going to go ahead and modify those. I'm going to also state in my docket entry that the random UA testing while she's in Oregon is paused, and she'll be tested upon her return.
May I ask a clarifying question, Your Honor?
Briefly, I have quite a few on the docket.
I understand that conditions are at the discretion of the court. Article 17028 D specifically says that a judge may not adopt a bail schedule or enter a standing order related to bail that's inconsistent with the article stating least restrictions possible to ensure that she appears in court. And I'm not trying to.
And I'm not denying it by any means where I'm not going to let her go see her family over the holidays. That's why I allow these hearings to take place. I mean, I could just say, nope, 3 days, that's it. You know, and under certain circumstances, I might deviate that slightly. If it's a business trip and they need additional time to finish their business matters, I could deviate that as well. But under the circumstances, based on what you have presented here today, I believe 3 days is sufficient. And I'm denying the request for Jamaica as well. All right. I've made the docket entry reflecting these changes. And I'll have an order signed outlining these changes as well shortly. Y'all are free to go.
Thank you, Judge.
Let's go back to the interpreter cases. I want to knock those out if we can. Mr. Duckett, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. And I can see you now.
Great, thanks.
All right, we're on the record in 24 CCR 239944, State of Texas versus Mohammed Yusuf Hamet. And we're here on a motion to modify, but I have an interpreter that I need to swear in. If the interpreter will raise his right hand, do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will truly and accurately translate from English to, and can you tell me the language again?
Indeed, Your Honor, it's Pashto, P-A-S-H-T-O.
Pashto, and from Pashto to English, so help you God.
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, so if you would, I will take this and where I'll go slow. We'll only do a couple sentences at a time. And if you would basically state everything that's stated here today to the defendant.
Indeed, Your Honor.
All right, we're here on a motion to modify. It's your motion, Mr. Duckett. I'm going to allow you to present your argument. Please pause for interpretation.
هغه یادونه وکړه چې مطلب د تاسو د قضیې د محمد یوسف همت قضیه ده چې 4 CCR درویش نه سلور او دغه عریضه کړې ده چې دغه غواړي چې په هغې کې مطلب په خپل هغه ضمانت کې یا هغې شرایط کې توپیر راولي او هغې خپل ډاکټر ته وویل چې تاسو مهرباني وکړئ تاسو کوم خپل هغه چې لرئ دلایل لرئ هغه تاسو مهرباني وکړئ موږ ته یې وړاندې کړئ.
Thank you, Judge. I'm asking the court to amend the bond conditions to delete the condition number 7.
Whatever probation.
هغې صرف یادونه وکړه چې قاضي صاحب بالکل دغه هغه دی درست دی موږ غواړو چې دغه درخواست مو دغه دی چې یا موږ پیشنهاد هم ورته ویل کېږي چې دغه کوم د ضمانت په هغه کې شرایط کې توپیر راولي هغه د شرایط په اساس سره.
In argument, Your Honor, item number 7 in the bond conditions requires random alcohol drug testing, and that is burdensome for my client.
راغله دغه کې هغه کوم یو برخه چې دی هغه هم ومه برخه یادوي چې د موږ معاکل صاحب چې دی هغې کې یو هغې ته اړتیا دی چې د دغې مطلب د شرابو د څښلو لپاره هغه هغې نه امتحانونه واخیستل شي او موږ زما غوښتنه دغه دی قاضي صاحب که تاسو هغې معافیت وکړئ ځکه چې دغه کوم درخواست یا اړتیا چې تاسو ونه لرل یا غوښتلی دی د هغې لپاره ډېره ستونزمنده دی.
In addition, I would ask the court to make note that my client was charged with an indecent assault, which is a non-drug related offense.
او بل هم قاضي صاحب زمونږ معاکل چې دی هغې نه کوم اتهامات شوي هغه د مطلب د یو هغه د الکحال یا د مطلب د شراب د څښلو کوم هغه نه و اتهام په هغې نه شوی نه و.
And finally, there are 2 conditions that I believe are sufficient to satisfy the community's concern regarding drug or alcohol use.
او قاضي صاحب دغه شرایط کې چې دغه موږ هغه ورته وایو ضمانت په اساس هغې کې 2 دنې دي چې هغه مطلب کافي دي چې هغه کوم اندېښنه چې تاسو د ټولنیز د امن لپاره لرئ هغه کولی شي چې هغه هم ورپوره کړي چې هغه 2 ورپوره کړي یعنې مطلب هغه کوم شرایط چې دي هغې ورته سرته رسولي دي.
Bond conditions number 5 and number 6. Number 5 requires monthly reporting, and my client could be subjected to a urine test, a drug test at that time.
ځکه چې د هغه د مواد مخدر یا نشهیي مواد او د شراب هغې کې هغه 15 یا 16 شرایط چې تاسو نه کېښودل شوي دي هغه تاسو نه هم تاسو پوهېږئ چې په میاشت کې یو ځل تاسو حاضري لرئ په هغه میاشت کې یو ځل چې حاضري لرئ وکیل صاحب دغه غوښتنه کوي چې قاضي صاحب ته وایي چې مطلب هغې وخت کې موږ د ادرار امتحان چې ورته وایو د هغې وخت کې د دغې کولی شي چې ادرار امتحان وکړي چې هغې کې تثبیت و ثابت و تشخیص شي چې آیا تاسو د مواد مخدر یا د الکحول د هغه تاسو استفاده کړې ده که نه.
And then, of course, condition number 6 prohibits him from using or consuming any illegal drugs or alcohol while on bond. So those 2 conditions, 5 and 6, I believe would be adequate to address the community's concern.
15 خو یادونه ورته وشوه چې تاسو یو ځل حاضري لرئ. 16 هغه چې دی په 16 برخه کې چې تاسو دغه شرایط کې یا په دغه ضمانت کې تاسو دی چې اخ کړي دي کېښودل شوي دي هغه دی چې مطلب تاسو د هغه لپاره Counsel, this is the interpreter speaking. Can you repeat that statement one more time? I want to make sure I extracted it correctly. Can you say that the 6, item 6? I'm missing one word in the syntax. I want to make sure I add that.
Yes, sir. Item 6 requires Mr. Himat, he's prohibited from using, possessing, or consuming any illegal drug or prescription drug not prescribed. And I'm simply saying that item 6,
6, right? Got it.
The prohibition, and then item 5, which requires him to do a monthly reporting, the 2 together should be sufficient enough to address the community's concerns regarding any alcohol or drug use while he's on bond.
دقیقاً هغه صرف په شپږم کې هغه ما غوښتل چې هغه کوم شرایط چې تاسو نه کې ښودل شوي دي هغه دا دی چې تاسو مطلب نشي مواد چې موږ ورته یا مواد مخدر چې دي او هم هغې سره نقصه‌ایي دواګانې چې دي چې تاسو مطلب ممانعت لري هغې نه تاسو باید استفاده ونه کوئ هغه هم یعنې تاسو باید هغې نه هغه ونه کوئ استفاده ونه کوئ مطلب دا شو چې مطلب پنځم شرایط او شپږم شرایط چې تاسو نه کې ښودل شوی دی هغه کافي دي چې مطلب تاسو مطلب خپله دغه ټولنې ته د مطلب د خطر یعنی سبب کېدلی نشي په دغې لپاره د دغې وایي قاضي صاحب چې مونږ دغه دوه شیان کافي دي ورته د مونږ معاقل لپاره
And that's all I have, Your Honor.
او دغه ټول زه لرم قاضي صاحب ته وایي
State your response.
او د سرکاري وکیل یا مونږ څارنوال چې ورته وایي ستاسو جواب څه دی
Sorry. Yes, Judge, I just want to confirm with probation that he hasn't tested positive for anything.
او زه هم وایي سرکاري وکیل هغه وایي څارنوال صاحب وایي چې زه غواړم د پروبیشن مونږ نظارات ته وایي او هغې ته یا مراقبت چې تاسو نظارات کوي چې مونږ غواړو چې هغې نه هم دغه معلومات حاصل کړو چې آیا تاسو دغه ادرار کې یا کوم دغه معاینات ټیسټ چې کېږي آیا دا مثبت راغلی که نه دی اوس غواړي چې هغه معلومات ورسره تایید کړي
State, do you have your answer?
Yes, Judge, sorry, I thought he was going to interpret it.
This is the interpreter. I was not able to hear that at all.
She's not on, so good. Continue.
Okay. Judge, I see no reason as to why he should continue to be on the testing, but once again, I defer to the court to see if they want to, but the state has no objection.
او هغه هم سرکاري وکیل هم وایي چې موږ هم نه پوهېږو موږ هم څه دلیل نه لرو چې ولې دغه تاسو معاقل صاحب یادوي صاحب چې دغه ولې په ټسټ کې ده یا په امتحان کې ونه اخیستل کېږي او موږ هم تاسو ته دغه فیصله قاضي صاحب تاسو ته یعنې دغه فیصله تاسو ته پرېږدو چې مطلب تاسو په دغې په اړه فیصله وکړئ موږ خپله کوم اعتراض نه لرو دغه غوښتنې په اساس سره
I'm going to grant the motion. I'm going to remove the condition that he be on random UA testing, but I will modify his bond where he will be tested for drugs and alcohol upon meeting with his pretrial monitor once per month.
زه دغه درخواست چې ستاسو وکیل صاحب همت صاحب کړی دی هغه زه منمه او هغه غوښتنه چې پخوا تاسو نه کوم شرایط چې کېښودل شوي وي چې مطلب یعنې ناڅاپي تاسو نه کېدلی شول چې امتحانونه واخیستل شي چې تاسو ادرار معاینات شي هغه نور یعنې لازمه نه دي خو هغه زه دوباره دغه بانډ یا دغه کوم ضمانت کې تغییرات هغه راولمه چې یا هغه زه غواړم چې دوباره تاسو ته ثابته شي چې هغه کوم وخت چې تاسو حاضري لرئ چې تاسو چې ورځئ هغه خپل حاضرۍ ته هغې وخت کې تاسو مطلب د موادو مخدرو نشهیي موادو یا د الکحول امتحان یا ټسټ اخیستل کېږي کوم وخت چې تاسو حاضري ورکوئ هغه مو ادامه وشي
Thank you, Judge.
مننه قاضي صاحب
The defendant is free to go.
او دغه نور معلومات نور نشته همت صاحب تاسو مدافع یاستئ او هغه وایي چې تاسو رخصت شوئ خیر اوسئ
Is the attorney free to go?
Yes, Mr. Ducky, you're free to go. Thank you.
Thanks, Judge. Have a happy holiday.
And thank you for your insistence, sir.
Yes.
So,
this is the interpreter as well. Can I be
go too.
thank you kindly, Your Honor. Take care. خدای پامان.
Let's move to the next interpreter case. Ms. Lang, are you there?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. We're gonna go ahead and get started. We're on the record in 24 CCR 238731, State of Texas versus Shuhai Zhang. If I could have you raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will truly and accurately translate from English to Mandarin and from Mandarin to English, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, if you would interpret everything that is stated here today, I will try my best to keep it to just a few sentences.
Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right, we're here for a status conference. Mr. Stafford, if you would give the court an update on the status of this case. And again, if you would pause every few sentences to allow for interpretation.
张先生，现在律师，现在法官问你的律师，现在这个目前案子审理进度的一个情况，然后他要求你的律师，当他在做的时候，常常要暂停，让我翻译给你听。
Mr. Stafford, you're going to need to unmute yourself.
Judge, if Mr. Stafford is not able to do it.
Okay,
First.
okay, I've done it. You hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I apologize. I have very little voice today. I feel good. I just don't have a voice. The status, Your Honor, is basically I made the state an offer and I have not heard from them.
好的，你的律师刚刚跟法官说他的声音有一点问题，他已经尽量说得很大声了。他说目前这个案子的进度是他已经向州政府，就是检察官提出了一个协议，但是他还没有收到检察官给他的一个回答的消息。
State, would you like to respond?
Yes, sir. And Judge, that offer may have been made to the prior prosecutor. However, I have.
Are we
reviewed it.
still there?
Is your microphone on? Green light? Okay.
Yes, yes. However, I am willing to dismiss this case if Mr. Zhang takes an anger management class.
好的，然后呢，他是告诉说他已经还没有他已经跟他的助理其他的检察官已经提过这个案子的情形。他说他还没有收到，不过他是说呢，他自己个人还没有收到。他说，但是他可以取消这个案子，但是必须要你去上一堂课。
Mr. Stafford, are you there?
你的律师，你的法官正在找你的律师。
We've lost Mr. Stafford.
他说他一直没有办法，他一直断线。
Email him,
Yes.
let him know your offer.
Yes.
I don't know if he heard you. I don't think he did,
Yeah,
so.
it's fine.
Mr.
Hi,
Zhang's free to go. We got the gist of everything that's going on with this case.
OK，好了，张先生，你可以下线了。刚刚你的法官是告诉你说，让这个检察官直接通知你的律师，他说现在我们可以下线了，因为他已经有这个案子现在全部的情况了。OK，thank you.
All right.
Yes, may I be
Thank
excused,
you.
Your
You're free
Honor?
to go, Ms. Lang. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We're going to take care of Taylor. Waylon or Richard. Yeah, Waylon Richard Taylor. We're on the record in 24 CCR 237958, State of Texas versus Waylon Richard Taylor. Well, it seems like this doesn't matter anymore. I have a motion to dismiss in hand, so. Case is dismissed. Y'all are free to go.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. But Alameen. Mr. Hatton. Good afternoon. You're muted, so whatever you stated, I could not hear.
I was going to actually walk to the courtroom because I couldn't get a signal. So I was like, you know what, I'm in the building, but I'm going to go back to the room that I was in. I'm actually staffing for drug court
Okay.
right now, but I didn't want to miss
Well,
the,
here's what I'm going to say. This is
Mhm.
directed towards the state, not you. I just wanted you present when I made these statements, Mr. Hatton.
Yes, sir.
Have a state's motion to withdraw the capias on this case.
Mhm.
About maybe 2 to 3 weeks prior to the court receiving this, the defendant entered into, well, the defendant bond was revoked. Who's the prosecutor on this case? There we go. It's my understanding that the defendant has entered into a PTI program. It's always been the understanding of this court and the procedure that's been in place now for quite some time, for at least 6 years. It's no defendants allowed to enter into a PTI or any pretrial diversion program with an active capias. What happened in this situation?
Certainly, Your Honor. Would you like me to stand or?
You can remain seated because that microphone's got to be able to
Okay.
pick you up.
And so, Your Honor, I do agree with the policy. I can say that this case was preliminarily, the PTI was preliminarily agreed upon before.
No, don't. You need to have that
Sorry.
microphone pointed at you. There we go.
It's getting some feedback. Preliminarily agreed upon before I came into the division, and I did not have the ability to know everything that happened prior to. And so on when the case was given to me, I was not aware of the KPS. I was aware of the violation report. I immediately emailed counsel and let him know that I would not be entering into a PTI if these violations were substantiated. And so from October 31st to November the 6th, counsel and I have emailed, as well as Ms. Bean have emailed. It was my understanding that the violations that was submitted to the court were not accurate violations. Ms. Bean didn't know that at the time. And Toxalock, I guess, emailed and sent a follow-up report indicating that she had been blowing. I think she missed one blow, but she came in the next day. So I was comfortable at that time with her entering into the PTI after knowing that what we thought were violations, as far as I know, were not violations. Once I was made aware that there was a KPS, immediately I did ask the prosecutor to go ahead and withdraw because it's my understanding that she has not violated.
Okay.
And since then, I did ask if, the report has been sent to you. I didn't want to ex parte or anything like that, which is why I haven't.
No, that's why
let the
this hearing has
court
been
know.
set.
Okay.
I was gonna hug your neck. Look better up to my feet. Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and grant the motion to withdraw the KPS, allow Ms. Alameen to be in the PTI program. I just hope this doesn't become an issue in the future.
It will not, Your Honor. And because of this, I will be sure to be very diligent in making sure that there's all the matters with the court are resolved prior to even going forward with the PTI. I shared your concerns, and that's why I was emailing. I just wasn't aware the KPS had already been signed. So I apologize for that, Your Honor.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
the
And Your Honor, if I can put it on the record as well, I want to double back with that as well. That was both of our understanding at the time. We were aware of the violation report, but both unaware of the actual warrant when we were working that out, because we kind of understood that it was a misunderstanding in the reports. We were trying to resolve and make sure that the report was in fact not accurate, and it wasn't. So we thought we would get it resolved before the cases, but as Ms. Carr stated, once the cases was issued, that was my understanding is that there'll be a movement for that.
Mr. Hatton, your audio, I don't know where you're at in the building. It's pretty bad. My court reporter is having a very difficult time making out everything you're saying, and I'm having a difficult time understanding every word. So I
apologize. I think it's a bad signal where I'm at. I'm actually in the 458 in the well of the 458 right now. So I'm not sure if it's just a bad signal because I had a problem even connecting or whatnot. I don't know if you heard that.
I get the understanding that it was everybody was not aware of the KPS being issued. So that's fine. It's withdrawn. She's going to continue with her PTI and then we'll go from there. All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Excuse.
Is this your only case?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're free to go.
Thank you.
Mr. Hatton, you're free to go along with your client.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Well, Merry Christmas to you as well.
All right, let's get back on track with the list. Souza.
Hello again.
Good afternoon. Mr. Souza, if you turn your video on, please.
I was just
Mr.
corresponding.
Souza. Mr. Souza, if you turn your video on, please. There we go. All right, we're on the record in 24 CCR 239-284, State of Texas versus Alfred George Sosa Jr. Mr. Lazarine, if you give the court an update.
Judge, we have I guess, an agreement with the state. It's a situation where we can get this case disposed of. It's one we like to dispose of quickly. I know I do want that as well. Mr. Souza has to take care of something. He's been financially struggling, and so he hasn't been able to do it just yet. But it's really a matter of making some payments in this DWLI case. And then his license will be valid and he can get that insurance that he wants. And then the case will go away. And I apologize for my voice.
Okay. So it sounds like he's paying off his surcharges and trying to get all that squared away at DPS. Or get an occupation, one of the two. You don't have to go into all the details, but it sounds like y'all are trying to get it to where it just goes away once he gets everything cleared up.
Judge, that's right. And he's actually, he's now at a point where his license is eligible. So he's doing better than many in this situation. So he's got to take that final step and then obtain, I think, at least 6 months of prepaid insurance. And then we can move on here.
Okay, wonderful. I'm hoping he can have it resolved by the next status conference on February 13th.
Yes, sir. I did impress upon him the urgency here and that the court, expects that to be resolved quickly, but he was just hoping for one more period of time to do that. So, Mr. Souza, you think we can have that done by February, right? Okay, he's on mute, but I think he's saying yes.
All right. Mr. Souza, you're free to go. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Judge.
Lazarine, hold on. You've got another case on the docket.
Yes, sir.
Padron.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
We're on the record in 23 CCR 235-862, State of Texas versus Andrea Kaylee Drew Padron. Go ahead and give me an update, Mr. Lazarine.
Judge, been working with Mr. Scoville on this one, considering a variety of different resolutions. But the one that we are, I think, pursuing right now involves a TRAS. I think that's the necessary first step to then determine if it's either a safe start or possibly a treatment court disposition. And Ms. Padron has had stuff going on, lost the phone and some other struggles. And so we had to reschedule the TRAS date, and I don't think we have a new date yet. But we were working, Mr. Scoville and I were working yesterday, and then earlier in this week, I spoke to him. I met with him Monday. And so then yesterday we were trying to get that rescheduled with Miss Bijou, but I don't believe we have a new date yet.
Okay. Well, hopefully you get that date soon. And Ms. Padron's next court date will be on February 13th for another status conference.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you for the update. You and your client are free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Y'all have a good one.
Luna.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Is your client here or on Zoom? Bring him up. We're on the record in 24 CCR 239-223, State of Texas versus Heber Luna. Why don't you go ahead and give me an update?
Your Honor, I talked to the state today. She did give us an offer. I need to communicate that with the defendant, and we do need one more status setting. I think it should get done on the next status setting.
Well, next setting is on February 13th. That gives you plenty of time to try to get this resolved. If you need a plea docket before then, you can contact my coordinator. All right. Thank you for the update. You're inclined to free to go. Yes, you may. Pelsor.
I good?
I can hear you now, Mr. Melcher.
Yes, thank you. That was trying to get here early and I ended up being late. It's fine.
We're on the record in 24 CCR 237-845, State of Texas versus Miranda, Kathleen Pelsor. Mr. Melcher, why don't you give me an update?
Basically, Your Honor, we do have an offer in this case for a dismissal. Ms. Pilsar is basically almost done with getting her license figured out, and she should have an appointment with DPS next week. So we should have it dismissed probably for the next court date.
All right, very good. Thank you for the update. Next court date is on February 13th.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You are free to go. Thank you. More. No. Guzman. Are you Guzman? Will your attorney, Mr. Seha, be here? Yes. Is he going? Have you spoken to him? Why don't you step outside, Mr. Guzman, and give him a call or text him and find out where he's at? Thank you. Young. Right up here. Hold on. Let me get on the record. We're on the record in 23 CCR 235-782, State of Texas versus Malik Young. Okay, Mr. Gonzalez.
State has made an offer. We've accepted the offer. We're going to need about 2.5 weeks to conclude the plea. It's going to be a jail time with 2 days up to 8 days in jail, credit for 2, I believe it is. Is that right?
Sarah, give me a date.
Can do it. We'll be back here January 7th. We can do it then, Judge.
All right, January 7th at 9 a.m. it is. Very good. Outstanding. Thank you. You're free to go, Mr. Young. You have quite a few more cases. Waylon Jackson. Let me get on the record in that case as well, Mr. Gonzalez. And is Jackson on? There we go. We're on the record in 22 CCR 229-376-374 and 372, State of Texas versus Waylon Jamil Jackson. Okay, Mr. Gonzalez.
Judge, I'm here today with Mr. Jackson. The state has not made an offer yet, but we have plenty of time for that. Once I get the offer, I'll convey it to Mr. Jackson, and we'll have a resolution probably by the same date as the last case. It'll be January 13th, I believe it is. 7th.
You want to plea on January 7th?
Set me down for January the 7th, Judge. I'll discuss the case with Mr. Jackson.
Okay, I'll put you down. Just in case, next setting is a pre-trial conference.
Okay.
On February 13th.
Okay. He's trying to get our attention.
Mr. Jackson, you want to, if you unmute yourself, we could hear you.
I was having a little technical difficulties. I couldn't hear you guys at first.
All right, your attorney's asked to set the case for a plea on January 7th at 9 a.m. And I was just reminding him as well that at your pretrial conference, which is an in-person docket, is on February 13th at 9 a.m.
And Judge, while we're here, the state is offering a dismissal on the driving while license suspended in the event that he gets an occupational driver's license. And this dismissal on the unlawfully carrying a weapon and drug offender education program, 12 hours of community service, and a dismissal on the possession of a dangerous drug.
All right, did you hear all that, Mr. Jackson?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Why
And
don't
just
your attorney talk after court today, and y'all can discuss that in detail, and go from there. I'm going to take you off the plea docket on January 7th because
Okay.
it doesn't seem like it's necessary.
Okay,
And I'll expect dismissals prior to your pretrial conference.
thank you, Judge. We'll do that.
All right. Thank you. Y'all are free to go.
Thank you, Judge. I'll
Thank
stay
you.
outside and try to get hold of him.
Very good.
Okay, that's great. You can see him better. I'll call him. Okay. Thank you, Judge. May I excuse you?
Yes, you may.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. All right, Hunt.
Here.
All right, Ms. Hunt, if you would turn your video on, please. All right, we're on the record in 22 CCR 227-644, State of Texas versus Christina Lachey Hunt. Mr. Timmons, it's my understanding you're going to be substituting in on this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and it's my understanding you attempted to file a substitution today, but you're having issues because I don't see it in the case yet.
Yes, Your Honor. I have tried to file it actually the last 3 days. I've had issues with their filing getting turned back for having an improper email. I've confirmed with the state that the prosecutor on the case is going to be Jennifer Flores and that her email is jennifer.flores2@fortbendcounty, Texas.gov. So I'm going to have to go in person and see what the hangup is with the county clerk's office on, I guess, the email being incorrect on their end.
Okay, I'll let you figure that out with the clerk's office. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to proceed with this status conference, Mr. Timmons, with you as the attorney for Ms. Hunt. Why don't you give me an update if you have any at this point in time?
Absolutely, Your Honor. So Ms. Hunt is currently in Chambers County right now. I believe she's in her vehicle outside of the courthouse in Chambers. The motion to adjudicate guilt in this case arises primarily, I would say, out of a new law offense occurring in Chambers County. Ms. Hunt is currently trying to resolve that case. And I'm going to be speaking with the defense attorney in that case, Mr. Mincer, tomorrow at 2 p.m. about trying to work out a resolution. Aside from that new law violation, Ms. Hunt was delinquent in some fees and had some community service that she needed to get caught up on. Ms. Hunt has informed me that she's gotten those fees taken care of and that she started her community service with a group called Thriftwise, and she's begun working towards completing her community service restitution with that group, Your Honor.
Okay. State, anything you would add?
No, Judge, I know that we're scheduled for a motion to adjudicate guilt hearing in January.
I was going to bring that up next. So, Mr. Timmons, we are scheduled for an MAG hearing on January 24th at 10 a.m. So whatever you're working out, I suggest you get it done before that date and time.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you for the update. Continue to try to file your motion to sub and get it on file. I'll sign it as soon as I receive it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Y'all are free to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Reyes, Joel Reyes.
Present for him, Your Honor. I've spoken to
Hold on.
case.
Hold on. We're on the record in 20 CCR 216084, State of Texas versus Joel Reyes. Go ahead, Counselor.
I've spoken to my client, Mr. Reyes. I've spoken to the DA that was here earlier, Mr. Wen. He's conveyed an offer to me. It appears that we're more than likely going to take it. I just need to talk to the probation officer within the next few days about all the particulars. I explained something to him. He said, no, check with probation and see if that's acceptable, and I think the case will be resolved before the next court setting. I already know that it's on, I think.
Do you need a-
trial setting?
Do you need a plea date?
If I don't, I think we already have scheduled dates, but a plea date would be fine if they want to
Well-
take out the trial docket.
Your next scheduled date is a pretrial conference on February 27th, but we can move it up before then for a plea.
Judge, if I may?
You may.
It's a class and dismiss.
Oh,
Right.
never mind.
So, I mean, as well as, I don't know, which class is acceptable.
You had mentioned probation and talking to them, and I just assumed it was a probation plea, so my mistake. Okay, well, I guess get with probation, figure it out, and get his class done before the court setting on February 27th.
That sounds good.
All right, y'all free to go. Holly. Is Mr. Hecker in there? Let's move on to the next case. Archer. Okay, West. Oh, all right. Menger, are you there?
I am, Judge. I'm here.
right. We're just waiting on your client, Mr. Archer, to connect fully.
Yes, sir.
You too. All right. We're on the record 24 CCR 240-796 and 17 CCR 196519, State of Texas versus Jason Michael Archer. Mr. Menger, why don't you give the court an update on each of these cases?
Well, Judge, this is a motion to, I believe, adjudicate on Mr. Archer. Judge, honestly, I have not had an opportunity to reach out to probation and see what their recommendation is for Mr. Archer. So I had planned on doing that tomorrow. I just honestly just haven't had time, Judge. I apologize to the court, but
That's okay. I've got a motion to adjudicate on the 17 CCR case. The 24 CCR case, that's not a motion to adjudicate guilt. Sarah, what are the other court dates? It ends on 110. In the system, it only goes to 110 for a second status. Is it an MRP on both? All right. Mr. Menger, why don't you get with the state and figure out where y'all stand on that motion to adjudicate guilt? Because you've got a hearing on January 10th.
yes, sir, I will do that, Judge. And Judge, may I ask, who is the probation officer in your court? Someone that I would need to reach out to about this case. I wasn't aware who that was.
Okay. Well, I think you need to reach out to the state first.
Okay.
You would
Yes.
reach out to them. So, Ms. Flores, are you handling this case?
Yes, Judge, I am.
Okay, so Ms. Flores is going to be your ADA. I would recommend that you reach out to her first, and then you can talk to probation. I'm sure you can talk to probation after that. So,
Will do, Judge. Will do. Thank you.
Especially with your hearing coming up on January 10th. I mean, we're literally just around the corner with the holidays. It doesn't give you much time.
Yes, sir. Will do.
All right. Thank you for the update. You and your client are free to go. Well, actually, Mr. Manger, don't leave. You have another client on the docket, a Nadia West. 1 second while we pull in Miss West.
Yes, sir.
Oh, hello.
All right, Miss West, if you would just mute yourself. We're on the record in 23 CCR 231891, State of Texas versus Nadia Michi Nicole West. All right, Mr. Minger, if you'd give me an update on this case.
Yes, sir. Judge, again, I represented Ms. West when she was put on probation, and I didn't realize that I had been reappointed on her motion to adjudicate guilt. So again, I make the similar announcement. I haven't had an opportunity to reach out to probation and see what their recommendation is.
All right, I would suggest reaching out to Ms. Flores on that case as well, correct, Ms. Flores?
Yes, Judge.
All right.
Yes.
All right, and you are set for a hearing on that case on January 24th.
Yes, so I'll have some desk time tomorrow, Judge. I plan on getting all this done tomorrow.
All right, sounds good, Mr. Minger.
Yes.
Happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Merry
Y'all are
Christmas.
free to go.
Thank you. Yes, thanks.
Hey, Judge, how are you doing?
I'm good. Mr. Rubio, if you would turn your video on, please. Mr. Rubio, if you would turn your video on, please.
Judge, let me make sure it talks.
Mr. Rubio. All right, Mr. DeBlanc, we're going to have to move on to the next case. We'll come back to you. Could you please reach out to Mr. Rubio and ask?
Yes, sir. I'm in the process of doing that now.
Sarah, let's go ahead and move on to the next case. Okay, let's move on to the next case after that, Cornish. Ms. Cornish, if you would turn your video on, please.
Okay.
Ms. Cornish, if you would turn your video on, please. Thank you. All right, we're on the record in 24 CCR 238588, State of Texas versus Shantae Antoinette Cornish. Ms. Waddell, if you'd give the court an update.
Yes, Ms. Cornish was supposed to be taking an occupational driver's license. She was given more time to pay for it. Since then, she has been hospitalized. She is on some kind of breathing apparatus, and she hasn't been able to get her occupational driver's license. She can't even really leave the house.
Okay. Let's see. Next court date is on January 28th for another status, with April 10th for a pretrial conference. Do you anticipate your client getting better to where she can go get that OCDL?
Probably not. I'm probably gonna have to talk to the state about a different alternative ending. But I'll go by there tomorrow and talk to them about this case, because I don't see where she's going to be able to get an occupational driver's license if her health is still bad. And it's been bad since the last hearing that we got pushed back to today. She hospitalized around that time. So
why don't y'all go talk and try to work something out?
yes, sir.
Okay. Y'all have a good one. You and your client are free to go. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Same to you.
Shocker. Mr. Chalker, if you would turn your video on, please. There we go. We're on the record in 24 CCR 238-695, State of Texas versus Abdul Hamed Chalker. Mr. Ryan, why don't you give the court an update?
Judge, discovery has been completed. I have today communicated to Mr. Chalker the state's offer. I'm probably going to need to ask the state to resend the videos, only because they were uploaded back in August. And I know the court will be shocked to find out I was in trial at that time, and I have lost the link. Nevertheless, using the holiday, I will get with the state, ask that those links be resent. I believe we should be in a position to try to resolve this matter on the next setting.
All right, next setting is going to be on January 28th for another status conference. That is via Zoom. However, if you need to schedule it for a plea, please contact my coordinator and we'll be happy to give you a plea date before then.
Your Honor, I just want to point out to the court, on January 28th, I am supposed to be picking a capital jury in the 240th. I know that's shocking to the court.
No, I have no comment, so that's okay. Well, why don't you notify us if you end up in trial? If not, I'll see you then, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All
May
right.
we be excused?
Yes, you may. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
All right, Nwabenwi. Mr. Chalker, you're free to go.
Thank you. Y'all have a wonderful Christmas.
Mr. Nwabenwi, if you would please turn your video on, please. All right, we're on the record in 24 CCR 238-634 and 23 CCR 232-959, State of Texas versus Felix Obina Nwabenwi. Mr. Nassif.
Yes, Judge.
Why don't you give me an update on these two cases?
Well, Judge, there is an offer for the cases to be dismissed if he gets a clear license and prepaid insurance. Evidently, there are some issues with him paying off everything that's necessary for him to get a clear license. And that's what we're waiting on, is for him to come up with the money to pay off whatever needs to be paid off to get his license cleared.
Okay. How much time is he going to need for that?
Judge, I don't know. I told him he needs to get it done in the next, couple of months or so, fairly soon, but it just depends on his work status, on how long it takes him to raise the money.
Next setting is January 28th. It's a status hearing via Zoom. Hopefully he's made some traction by then, or
I hope so.
taken care of it.
I hope so too, Judge.
Okay. Thank you for the update, Mr. Ness. If you're free to go, have a good weekend and happy holidays.
Thank you. You as well, Judge. Take care.
Let's go to Collie. You're free to go, Mr. Nwabwenwi.
Hello.
Mr. Hecker, good afternoon.
How are you? I'm sorry I've been tied up in trial, but thank you.
Oh, you're fine. Is your client going to be joining us?
No,
Collie?
no, sir.
No. Okay. You want to tell me why?
We were trying to get in touch with her.
Oh, you can't reach her. I
That's
see.
right.
State.
Yes, Judge, we move for bond forfeiture.
Bailiff.
No answer at 3:40.
Sorry, Judge.
No, don't apologize to me, Mr. Hecker. It's not your fault. Here's going to be the issue. She's had several bond forfeitures already.
Right. Yeah, I know.
We started at a $1,000 bond and we worked our way up to a $6,000 bond already. I'm setting it at 10,000. And then let me check the bond conditions real quick. All right, so all prior, or how about this? All bond conditions issued on 5/24 of this year shall remain in place.
Yes, sir. I understood.
All right, Mr. Hecker, thank you. You are free to go.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to Rubio. Miss Flores, what's your alphabet in here? Okay,
Eventually, Evan is going to start taking over and Bluesy.
okay.
But probably not.
Mr. Rubio, if you would turn your video on, please.
There we go.
We're on the record 22 CCR 229898, State of Texas versus Marvin Sal Rubio. Mr. Rubio, if you would turn your video on, please.
We got to see your face, Marvin. There you go.
All right. Mr. DeBlanc, why don't you go ahead and give me an update?
First of all, thanks, Judge, for being patient with us. Essentially, Judge, this is an MAJ case. It's currently set for January 10th. Mr. Rubio was on a deferred for one case out of this court, picked up another offense. essentially what we're asking the court to do is to, if possible, place these cases on the same date. Right now, we're still missing the body cam of the officer that caught the surveillance video on it. And so, in order to kind of hopefully get something resolved on both of these cases, we would need that footage, as well as setting them both on the same date would possibly allow us to come to some sort of resolution with the state that can resolve both of these cases. At least that's our hope, at least, Judge.
All right, tell you what, when you appear on January 10th, we'll address that, setting them on the same date. And we'll go from there.
Perfect. And then in the meantime, Judge, I guess we'll just follow up with the state regarding our missing discovery.
Yes, Judge, I'll make sure to send that over when I get back to the office.
Okay. Thank you for the update, Counselor. You and
Thanks,
your
Judge. You as well. All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right, Mr. Seha is in the waiting room. Let's bring him in. Mr. Guzman, right up here. All right, we're on the record in 24 CCR 237916, State of Texas versus Jose Seha, excuse me, Luis Guzman.
I hope not.
I'm looking at you right now and I see your name and that's what comes out. My apologies, Mr. Seha.
That's okay, Judge.
Give me an update.
Your Honor, Mr. Guzman has been offered the Fresh Start program, and I emailed the prosecutor to get the exact terms of the program so I can discuss it with my client. But if it's reasonable, I think that's the direction that we're going to head. I just need to know the exact terms so I can advise him.
Is it the Safe Start program?
Yes, Judge, it's a safe program.
Okay.
Okay.
You said Fresh Start, and I'm not familiar with that program, but I am familiar with the Safe Start program that is related to DWI cases. So,
okay.
Why don't you email him all the conditions and stuff or whatever is required of the defendant over to Mr. Seha?
Absolutely. So in that original email, he should have gotten the coordinator for the Safe Start program in order to get the TRAS done for that as well, because he has to set up a TRAS appointment.
Okay. Did you hear that, Mr. Seha?
I did, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get him TRAS and taken care of as quickly as possible. Your next court setting will be on February 13th. Hopefully he's had a TRAS by then to see if he qualifies for the Safe Start program.
We'll do, Your Honor. We will get on that.
All right. Thank y'all. Y'all are free to go. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Judge. Same to you.
And last but not least, Bacho.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
All right, let's let your client, Catalina Bacho, fully connect.
Okay.
All right, we are on the record in 24 CCR 238658, State of Texas versus Catalina Morga Bacho. Mr. Haney, why don't you give me an update on the case?
Okay, Judge, as far as I know, I have everything. There is an offer on the table, but I'm trying to iron out a couple of small points, but we should be able to plead it out relatively soon.
Okay, well, if you need a plea date prior to your next court setting, which is a status hearing on January 28th, contact my coordinator, Sarah Toller, and she'll be happy to give you a plea setting.
All right, dude. I'm sorry, I will. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you for the update. You and your client are free to go. Happy holidays.
All right, thank you. You too. You'll be safe.
Thank you, Blaze.
All right, I do believe that concludes our docket for today.